let's get on to our second guest. Eli, could I have a drum roll? Oh, that was nice. That was nice. Audience, do you want to do a little drum roll on your tables? Oh, that's very good. That's very good. All right. Our second guest, you've already met him a little bit, but he has appeared on Broadway in Avenue Q, Glory Days, School of Rock, and most recently in Tina, the Tina Turner musical. Please join me in welcoming Steven Booth! And you take this little guy.
Okay, I will.
So I'm really excited to see Steven on a stage because mostly I see Steven in our little neighborhood, which is Hudson Heights neighborhood, north of Washington Heights, south of Inwood. And we happen to be neighbors and friends, and we also happen to have children the exact same age.
Yeah, we do.
One of mine is here. Arlo Barrett, can you tell us, hi babe, can you tell us what's Steven's daughter's name who goes to kindergarten with you? Maisie.
Maisie.
We love Maisie. She's so sweet. And so I often see you at drop-off and then sometimes at pickup.
Yeah.
What do you do between drop-off and pickup?
It's a mystery. I don't know. I mean, I work out. I try to work out. Sometimes I just sit on the couch and think about working out. I try to get, you know how it goes. You try to get your whatever work in you need done. I work, right now I'm working on some music for a concert that I'm doing.
Ooh.
And yeah, that's, whatever I can do to fill the time.
Be
productive.
And
not just sit on the couch.
Well, you also have a little baby.
And I take care of my son.
And you also take care of your son. So that's a pretty big chunk.
I have a 1.5-year-old. So,
yes.
So I'm doing it. I jumped into the chaos.
Sawyer Boyer. He is adorable. Well, so you've been working on a few shows or you have in the past worked on some shows in development. Can you tell us a little bit what it's like to work on a show in development and what some of your favorite things to develop have been?
Yeah, I mean, I have been lucky. My first Broadway show was a show called Glory Days. Not everybody knows this show. Some people say Glory Day because it only had its opening night on Broadway. But, I don't want to discredit it because it was actually a great show. We had the opportunity to put it up in Washington, D.C. at the lovely Signature Theater.
Cool.
I worked with my now really good friend, Nick Blameyer. He's the writer of the show. All of us became lifelong friends. Glory Days was one of those things that we got to literally bring from, its roots all the way from DC to Broadway. And although it didn't last as long as we would have liked, we got to do the album. And I mean, I love being a part of the original conception of things. I love being able to have input and collaborating with people and feeling like I have a piece of it,
Yes.
and like it becomes a piece of me, and it's very fulfilling. And even something like that only lasted a day on Broadway. I mean, we had 2 weeks of previews, so it was it felt cool.
Plenty of performances.
Our picture's still up at Circle in the Square, right below Philip Seymour Hoffman, and I mean, it still felt special at the time.
Right.
It was a bummer that it ended the way it did, but it was an amazing experience.
Great.
And
so there wasn't a feeling of impending doom as you were doing it, as you were doing the process. It was a happy process.
It was a happy process. Yeah. I mean, we were all in our 20s. It was all of us who were in the show was 4 of us. It was our Broadway debut for every one of us. The writers were 23 years old.
Wow.
And it did so well in DC that everybody had producers behind it. It had money. It just swiftly came to New York. Within a matter of a few months, it went from the Signature Theater to Circle in the Square, which doesn't happen.
Right.
And probably shouldn't have happened.
Right.
But it did, and we had this amazing experience of bringing our little show to Broadway, and it still lives on. People do it. They do it at high schools and colleges.
Yep. Oh,
But I love being a part of that stuff, and I've had the opportunity to do that with a couple other shows too.
Fabulous. You had the opportunity to meet one of your heroes, one of your musical heroes, through your work on the Kinky Boots tour. Is that correct? Want to tell that little tale?
Oh yeah, I did actually. Yeah, I did the first national tour of Kinky Boots. Yes. Amazing show, and it was a huge deal for me. Still one of the highlights of my career, of course. And yeah, early on in the process, Cyndi Lauper was very much involved, which was cool. I got to work with Cyndi. I mean, she would like show up at rehearsals and give me. One time, she showed up and was like, "Here, I got this playlist for you. Put it in. It's what motivated me to write some of these songs. So I've got this playlist in my Spotify that's just called Cyndi." And someone took a picture too. It was me and Cyndi Lauper just out in the hall, and she's letting me listen to her phone with her earbud, and I was not really listening because I was just freaking out that I was listening to Cyndi Lauper's phone.
And you've got a little bit of Cyndi Lauper's earwax. Still.
Yeah. I mean, that was a wild ride. So one of the great places we were able to perform on tour was at the Pantages in Los Angeles, and we were at the opening night party, and everybody's there, and one of the producers came up and said, "I'd really like you to come meet somebody." He brought me over, and he said, "This is so and so, so and so, and so, so, and this is Steve." And this guy stood up, and I was like, "Hey, Steve, nice to meet you." And I kind of recognized him. And he said, "You know who this is, right?" He said, "This is Steve Perry from Journey." He was the lead singer of Journey, which is like, I mean, for me, I'm such a fan, and I was slightly embarrassed that I didn't just know that. But Steve Perry's like a unicorn. I mean, he doesn't come out, you know. So I ended up having like 2-hour conversation with Steve Perry. At one point, it was me, Steve Perry, and Cyndi Lauper talking together, and she came up. And first thing she said is, "Oh yeah, Steve, I think the last time I saw you was the We Are the World recording." What is happening? Anybody else hearing this?
That's a fabulous story.
It's amazing. And so then, next thing I know, Steve is asking me for my phone number.
Oh.
Yeah, and I ended up, I woke up the next morning to texts from him saying, "You killed it last night, and can I get tickets? I'm coming again." And yeah, I still have his number. Should we call him right now?
Let's call him right now.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing being a part of this community and having opportunities like that.
Absolutely.
I was definitely starstruck.
And right now, is it kind of how you're feeling being with me?
That's why I'm a little sweaty.
I know. I get it. But I have a playlist for you after that I'm going to give you, okay? But I don't want you to share my earbuds because gross. Well, that is a wonderful tale. So, Stephen, we have established that you played Phil Spector. I don't know that we established who you played. Phil Spector in Tina, the Tina Turner musical.
That lovable guy.
The lovable Phil Spector.
Everybody's
Will in Glory Days and Ned in School of Rock. So we've created a game for you in your honor called Phil, Will, or Ned. Now I'm going to move my little binder here because we don't want any little cheaty eyes looking at that.
Oh yeah, I should have been looking at it.
I know, right? Oh man. All right, well the rules are quite simple. I'll say a line and perhaps I'll say it in a way that tries to kind of throw you off a little bit. And then you say which role you were. What show it's from. We'll see how well you remember your former roles. All right, here we go. Question 1. What character were you playing when you said, "They're calling you James Brown in a skirt"?
Phil Spector.
Phil Spector. All right, that was kind of a giveaway despite my strange accent. So you did originate the role of Phil in Tina. How was it playing a character like Phil who was a real human and
had the life he had?
Had the life he had.
It is
really
interesting.
interesting.
That's a good question because going into that, I did obviously put the time into researching and doing all of the character work that I needed to do for him. And at that point, when they did that recording, 1966, I believe, he wasn't the Phil Spector who, did what he did to land himself in jail, in prison. He was still this Phil Spector who carried a gun on his hip and had rumors of shooting it into the ceiling during recordings. I mean, he was a wild guy, for sure. So it was a fun character to dig into, but I had to embrace the side of him that was, you know, gregarious and made people love him, and he was advocating for Tina, you know, and that's the featured scene in that show. It's Tina, Ike, and Phil, and you know, Ike is this imposing character that sort of got Tina on a leash, and Phil is sort of there to say, she's it, you know, she's got the power here. And so it was kind of nice to be in that position, even though the character, you know, Phil was
no, I can imagine. That's really interesting
but,
role to dig into.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry to bring it down.
Oh, sorry to bring it down.
Is Nasia still here? That was fun.
All right, continuing on. Question 2. What character were you playing when you said waking him up in the morning is a bad idea? It's like using a beehive as a piñata. It's dangerous.
Oh, well, that must be Glory Days.
Correct!
But I don't remember that line.
No, it's not.
I knew it wasn't Avenue Q.
It's actually not Glory Days.
Wait, what? It's School of Rock.
It's School of Rock. My robot impression really did a number on you.
Yeah. You threw me off.
Right. So, yes, that was from Ned.
Okay.
That was Ned. So you were
way back in 2017.
That was
I can't remember that.
Yeah, that was before you had children, correct?
That's right.
And how was it being in a cast full of incredibly talented kids?
Oh man, those kids were insane.
Yeah.
I was just blown away. They were just so disciplined. And, you know, all those kids were musicians first,
right?
Actors second. They found them because they were these prodigies, most all of them. And so they just had this work ethic that kind of lifted all of us up.
Wow.
And there were moments in the show where things would kind of go astray or a line would get dropped, and those kids were on it. They would pick it up.
That's
and
great.
Keep the show moving. And I mean, such professionalism from such little people. It was insane.
Maybe they need some of those kids to join Six for when they.
Yeah, when the magic goes
yes,
awry.
I know when the magic goes away. Well, that is cool. Here's our last one.
Okay.
Question 3. What character were you playing when you said, the possibilities are endless here, just wait lines?
Just what?
Wait lines. Wait lines.
Oh, well, that's Glory Days.
That's Glory Days! You got it. Or Glory Day. Steven, thank you so much.